Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, where we have a bunch more news about the Grim Forest and some of the really interesting stuff that is coming. Before we dive into this new little info deck here with information on the relics and the new gear set that's coming, we do have this a break, which is actually in some ways more interesting because it's Grim Forest gameplay. The Grim Forest Squad. This is an official infographic that Plarium's dropped on their socials as of a couple of hours ago. Before you venture into the Grim Forest, you must fill 2 team decks with your best champions to create a squad. Every battle in this game mode will begin by drawing random champions from these decks. You can only build your team to take on a specific stage from their number. So here we go. We can see on normal, you need 10 champions per deck. So you're going to need 20 champions total, and you're going to need 2 sets of teams. And then for hard mode, 20 champions per deck. Interesting. So 40 total. Heck of a lot of champions you're going to need built up. I can certainly do it. Doesn't seem like, from the sounds of it, by the way, there's no other restrictions on this. So long as you've got 40 good champions ready to go, you're ready for hard from what it looks like. Now, what is interesting to me, it's going to pick random champions from the deck. I'm not exactly sure how. How will this work exactly is still a little unclear, right? So let's say I click into, I don't know, floor 1 on normal. Will it be either team 1 or team 2? Or will it mix and match? Let's assume it's going to be one or the other. Maybe it will give you a choice. Would you like to use team 1? Would you like to use team 2? Let's assume it says you must use team 1. It does say it will pick champions at random. Ooh, there's some, I don't know about that. That is pretty rough. To be honest, that's pretty rough. Because you can pick these at random. And let's say it's 5 champions on the team. I mean, it could come in and be like, okay, this time around, you're getting Mighty Uko, Duchess, Marishka, and she'll give you an Armans and a Lydia. And you're like, okay, well, that's a little bit annoying. And then you do another fight, and it's like, picking at random. Oh, well, this time you got Georgid, Michinaki, Trunda, Krokmar, and Lil Miss Annie. And you're going like, oh, well, you didn't pick any of my supports. So this seems very weird that it's at random. Now, obviously, this is sort of like 5 and 5 supports and damage dealers. You're probably going to get a fairly balanced team. But yeah, it's kind of weird. What happens if I get a terrible team for a particular stage? Do I have to retry it the next day? How's it going to work? So yeah, for me, there's a lot of questions. I mean, certainly when it comes to hard mode, you got 20 champions. You're going to need a real mix. It could give you a crazy mix of stuff. It's very easy for it to come in and be like, okay, well, this time, well, you drew Carnage, Georgid, Rotus, Mortu, and Atharion. Good luck, right? You could easily randomly get 5 damage dealers and no supports or whatever. So kind of wonky. I think another couple of implications for this. Number 1, faction unity champions, basically out the window, right? Unless you're going to put in 20 high elves, you're not picking Fina. It's just, well, I mean, Fina works actually really well on her own, so actually maybe you could pick Fina. But, you're not getting a full faction unity champion up and running for this game mode from the looks of it. It's just a bit too difficult. Maybe on normal, but they might be overkill for normal anyway. But it's going to be really tough to do that. Another thing that's fairly obvious as well, I would say, is mythicals become insanely good. Like, I don't know, let's say, for example, I've hypothetically pulled Joan the Luminant, who's one of the top ones people were looking for this last week. Well, she's a really good support in Form 1. Great. What if I need damage? Oh, well, she's a really good damage dealer in this form as well. So pretty much no matter what that game mode throws at you, she's got you covered. She'll do both extremely well. There's very few mythicals that are that good actually at what she's doing. But yeah, that becomes, I think, a little bit weird as well. So yeah, my thoughts on this. Faction unity, funny enough, look terrible. Mythicals look to be insanely good. I'm very intrigued to see, does it randomize it? What happens if I want to repeat a stage because I got a bad draw from the deck? But it gives you a rough gist for where you need to be overall. You're going to need a fairly well-rounded account of 20 champions for normal and a fairly well-rounded account of 40 champions for hard. And honestly, that doesn't seem too bad. Like if I consider Faction Wars hard, if you're already doing Faction Wars hard, there's 15 factions. I've got 5 champions minimum for each one, and realistically I've more than that. 5 minimum for 15 factions. I've got 75 champions built for endgame PvE. And realistically, there's probably at least 100. So I'm well beyond the 40 that's needed. So I think that's good as well. So it's not like you have to play the game for 5 years to have a chance. So that's what's going on there. Pretty spicy stuff, honestly. Let me know what you think about that down below. But we've got even more, folks. Relics and gear. Let's go. Don't share this early or they'll shoot you. Standard stuff. So we have a new gear set. Just one new gear set. Mercurial Gear Set. It's a variable set. Visually looks very cool. Grim Forest themed. I love it. If we move me over here, this is what it does. 1-piece bonus plus 20 resistance, 2-piece 15% HP, 3-piece 8% speed. If we look at the other stats, you're going to get 12% speed at 5-piece, 20 resistance at 7, and 12% speed at 8-piece. I think it's pretty similar to Feral, I think. Actually, no, it's more like Protection. Never mind. Feral is more weighted that way. It's basically Feral. It's basically Protection, but the speed is more weighted towards the end, actually, which is kind of interesting. Because it's 8 speed up here and 12 speed down here. Now you're getting 32 speed total, 32% speed total, same as this. But Protection, actually, the 8-piece set is weaker, but the 3-piece set is stronger. So I kind of feel like they should probably swap this. I would say right away, the 1, 2, and 3-piece kind of sucks, okay? It kind of sucks. 5-piece is nice, especially if you're on the way to 6-piece. And then 7 and 8 is pretty good. I think, yeah, we'll see here. 4-piece, though. So it looks like it's going to be a 4-piece set or a 6 or a 9. You're not dipping into it too much, apart from filling in a couple of slots for small bonuses, but nothing special. Grants the wearer 1 total guard stack at the start of the round. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and any associated effects. Ooh! I think there's an explanation on the next slide of this properly. At 6 pieces, you get 2 total guard stacks, okay? At 9 pieces, you get 3 total guard stacks at the start of the round. Each stack blocks the stuff. Also puts a total guard stack at the start of this champion's turn if they have no total guard stacks. Okay, we'll see exactly what total guard does in a second. The way I'm looking at this, though, the 4-piece seems like it might be a sort of a stone skin feral set equivalent. You throw 4 pieces on with your stone skin or bolster or whatever. Okay, cool. The 6-piece seems okay. The 9-piece seems very strong. 9-piece seems strong. You're going to keep regenerating total guard. That can be a bit of a game changer. It reminds me quite a bit, actually, this whole set, of the Ward of the Fallen Blessing, where it increases your stacks, but obviously at max rank for Ward of the Fallen, you can start regenerating it, and it becomes basically a different blessing almost at that point. It also does bonus damage, to be fair. Right, let's see this. Here we go. Total Guard. It's a brand new buff. Visually looks cool there. Total Guard. The Total Guard buff will block any single instance of damage and all status effects a champion receives from an enemy skill. A champion can receive multiple stacks of the Total Guard buff. Each Total Guard stack will block a single instance of damage from an enemy champion's skill. It will also block any associated effects, such as debuffs, including guaranteed and unresistible debuffs, destroy max HP effects, equalize HP effects, swap HP effects, debuff spread effects, decrease or equalize turn meter effects, instant activation of poison or HP burn debuffs, and polymorph debuffs. As long as the champion has at least 1 Total Guard stack, they'll be immune to all negative effects, except increased cooldown, even from skills that do not inflict damage. Okay. So it's kind of confusing in a sense. So let's say I've got 1 stack of Total Guard. It's going to block basically anything once, including damage. If it's just a damage ability, it will block the damage, and I'm good. If they're going to try debuff me as well, it will block it. I'm kind of confused as to whether it blocks everything in an ability or if it doesn't. One thing, so Lockout is very good against this. Increased skill cooldown. You could pair this, of course, with the Chronophage set to protect you from having your skills put on cooldown as well. So that's a very strong combo. 4 pieces of what's it called? Mercurial and 4 pieces of Chronophage could be sort of protected from everything. But you would have only 1 Total Guard stack. So yeah, I'm a little bit unclear. What if there's multiple debuffs? What if there's multiple hits in an attack? Like Marius tries to do a triple hit A2 and reduce your buff duration with every single hit as well. Does it block all of them? Does it block just the first hit? How does it work? A champion will lose a stack of Total Guard whenever they would take damage from another champion's skill. It includes damage taken via ally protection. Ugh, so I'm blocking this part. Includes damage from ally protection, reflect damage, as well as passive skills that share or reflect damage. Champions will not lose a stack of total guard when they take damage from masteries, blessings, or relics. Okay, that's nice, and we're probably going to get more damage relics and stuff. We're going to get more relics here as well. That makes it basically total guard is totally useless if you have ally protection, right? Can we just say that straight up? Like if I have ally protection on and I'm taking loads of ally protection hits, it's just going to destroy my total guard. Like what's even the point? So it seems terrible for ally protection champions. It gives reflect damage a bit of a purpose, I suppose. Interesting. If a champion is under both total guard and block damage when they receive damage from an enemy champion skill, they will lose a stack of total guard. If a champion takes damage that is reduced to 0 by another champion's passive skill, they will lose a stack of total guard. All bosses ignore total guard. Well, that really sucks. So if the total guard wasn't even going to do anything anyway, if I have block damage or a passive prevents the damage, I lose total guard anyway? Huh. That seems like that seems just really bad, doesn't it? If I have block damage and I was taking 0 damage, it sounds like I'm still losing total guard. I mean, I've got a lot of questions as to exactly how this works from it. This could either be extremely good or extremely bad. It's very unclear, to be honest. It does sound like it's going to block everything from an attack. Let's read this part again. Multiple stacks. Each total guard stack blocks a single instance of damage. It does sound like multi-hit is going to go through it. And it says it blocks any associated effects. Like loads of stuff, including polymorph as well. But I'm not sure, like, I'm presuming, like, I don't know. Let's say Nishak, for example. What happens if I come in with a Nishak? Nishak, AoE attack, and 2 bombs. If I have 1 total guard, what happens? Does it block the damage, but not the 2 bombs? If I have 3 total guard, does this absorb all 3 hits? It's very, very unclear to me exactly how this works, to be honest. So we're going to have to see it in practice and test it out. It could be amazing. It could suck. If it is really good, this is going to be insane. It's basically like Stone Skin, but without the weakness to HP burn. And much better against bombs as well. So this is potentially like an insanely good anti-bomb set. Lots of potential there. What happens if I combine this with Stone Skin? Actually, it's probably terrible. It sounds like it would just absorb the total guard to stop the hit to Stone Skin, which wouldn't do anything. Bit weird. Okay, I mean, very strange. But yeah, this might be very good. I think the 6-piece seems bad, honestly. Like, only 2 total guard stacks, that's it. Seems a bit weak, to be honest. I think the 4-piece is probably going to be interesting as an interesting alternative, particularly against bombs. Build a debuff cleanse champion with the Mercurial set, block a bomb. Though again, if it doesn't block multiple bombs, it might not help actually. I don't know. It might stop enough bombs that you'll still survive. It's interesting. I think the 9-piece has a lot of potential, but gosh, you got to get a whole 9 pieces of it. That's rough. But the 9 pieces could be really good, that you're getting the stacks, but Stone Skin, when it expires, is gone. This keeps coming back. You get another stack every single turn. I think that's where it's powerful, where you keep regenerating these total guard stacks. That's my initial thought. I'm very unsure about exactly how this buff works. It might be totally overpowered. It might be totally rubbish. It does have good potential against bomb teams and stuff like that. And it's got a ton of potential at 9 pieces. But below 9 pieces, I'm not so sure. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and how you're reading that. It's pretty complicated, a little confusing, to be honest. I don't know, man. All right, we got some relics. Unfortunately, these relics, we don't have the stats. We don't have the gem slots either. Obviously, rare relics have 1 gem slot, epics 2, legendary 3, mythic 4, but we don't know specifically what they are, and that does actually have a pretty big impact, to be honest. And the stats have a huge impact. Like, if this is main stat speed versus main stat HP, it's a really big difference, but we don't know. Quick first impressions though. Steel-eyed Cutter. Wearer has a 20% chance to ignore 5% of an enemy's defense when attacking. That goes up to an additional 30% for 50% total. So a 50-50 to ignore 5% defense when it is fully leveled up. This seems pretty bad. Hoarder's Cauldron. We'll come back to it in a second. We'll look at the 2 rares together. Wearer has a 20% chance to ignore 10% of target's resistance when applying debuffs. Okay, that gets an additional 30% for 50%. These are both okay budget relics, But they've got a problem where a lot of the benefit is weighted towards level 6. And that's a big issue. You're never putting a rare relic like this up to level 6. It's never happening. I think these are relics from this new game mode. We've already talked about the deck stuff. I think that this game mode, you're actually going to get into pretty early. Like if we compare the other sources of relics in the game, like Faction Wars Hard, Live Arena, Gold 4, Gold Live Arena, basically, high-end Siege, all that sort of stuff. I think that these relics are going to be fairly plentiful. And if this is one of the best source of relics, you're probably going to get quite a lot of these. And even as a relatively new player, you might get quite a few of these. In that situation, these are both generally decent, right? A chance for ignore defense is good for like every damage dealer. A chance to ignore resistance applying debuffs is good for like every debuffer. So they're very good general effects, but I think the effects are very weak. And it's very unreliable as well. And number one, the effects themselves are pretty weak, but number two, they're also extremely unreliable. So yeah, that's my take on these. Actually quite nice and very general things that are probably mostly aimed at pretty new players that are, it's one of the first relics that you're getting. Pretty rubbish beyond that, to be honest. Let's look at the epics. We've got the Compass of Anaxia and the Revolting Seedling. Compass of Anaxia. Whenever the wearer is under a crowd control debuff, all turn meter fill effects increase the wearer's turn meter by an additional 20%. And again, it's so weighted towards level 5 and 6. Oh my god. But you get 30 plus 80, 100%. I'm guessing it's multiplicative. So, if I was going to get a 10% turn meter boost, it would become a 20%. If I was going to get a 25% turn meter boost, it would become 50%. Pretty niche as well. Yeah, pretty darn niche. So you have to be crowd controlled, so you're kind of missing your turn anyway. And then you have to be gaining turn meter fill effects too. Is very niche. I would say, it's funny enough, it's pretty good on Fabian. So Fabian comes in, right? Because so many people are wearing Wand of Submission, you throw out you get your True Fear reflected back, and then Fabian, with this relic, turn meter stuff's more effective. And then great, if he's in Supersonic set, it probably multiplies the Supersonic set, and he just gets back to his turn really quickly, and then he breaks free anyway because of his passive. So there's maybe a couple of niche champions that's good on, but it seems pretty darn niche. Very niche, indeed. It could be decent on Nice as well, but again, how much turn meter boosting is Nice actually getting? Combos well with like a 6-star Chainbreaker blessing on Nice. That's a good one, but again, it's very niche. Not how many of you have a Nice? How many of you have a 6-star Nice with Chainbreaker? I've got Nice. I certainly don't have the 6-star, but basically that combination, so you know about it. This one is at the start of his turn, you can remove those crowd control debuffs, and you've got a chance to fill his turn meter by 20% when he's hit. So that relic on Nice actually really good. That being said, there's like a million crazy OP relics on Nice. So yeah, that one's kind of mixed. Revolting Seedling. Whenever the wearer receives damage, has a 20% chance. That increases to a 50% chance to heal yourself by 20% of the damage received. Again, that's generally very, like any champion I want to stay alive, it's helping them stay alive a bit. It's very general. Seems very, very weak. It's a pretty tiny heal, really. Like if you get hit for 50,000 damage, which is quite a lot, you heal for 10,000. And only a 50% of the time you heal for 10,000. Seems kind of rubbish, I'll be honest. I think that you've got Golden Elixir, I think you've got plenty of defensive relics that are straight up better than this. Seems pretty rubbish to me. Maybe it's got good stats or something, but it seems like another version of the rares, a very general effect. This one's good for any damage, any debuffer. This is good for any tank, but they just kind of suck, is my impression there. Legendaries, let's see if it improves here. Soul, it seems to me so far that these are aimed to be pretty general, budgety sort of relics that you're getting a bit earlier in the game. These are not like new end game relics, but we'll see. Legendaries where it could potentially change in Mythical, certainly. Let's take a look. Soul Mark Crystal. Once per round, wearer has a 50% that increases to a 100% chance of activating an instant turn effect. Oh, when one or more allies are killed. Okay, I take it back. That right there could be bonkers. That could be bonkers. Yeah. Like you use this to counter like a Hegemon or a Calvalax. That could be insane. That could be absolutely insane. Use this to counter a speed team. So this has huge potential. I think a huge part of this potential as well is that, again, as the game is right now, you have no way to tell what relics enemies have. So you could totally surprise people with this. Seems pretty strong. Again, you could just risk it. It starts off at 50%, and you could probably get it up to level 2 or 3. You could probably get this up to a 70 to 80% chance pretty reasonably. So it's not 100%, but it's pretty good. And you could put in, again, I could have a damage dealer with 0 speed and giga damage, preferably someone who can remove buffs as well. I let the enemy team take a turn, outrun their stone skin, nuke me, and then, you kill one of my team? Awesome. I take a turn, I smack you. Imagine this thing on a Hefrak. That's like Hefrak's dream relic, though you could just like sheep him with a Armans or something. But Hefrak with that, you kill his teammate, he just nukes you with his AoE, then he gets an instant turn, buffs up and nukes you again. That could be insane. And you build him 0 speed, giga damage. That could be fun. So actually, yeah, that relic has a ton of gameplay potential. That one's super cool. Spore Burst Rod. Whenever the wearer places a poison or bomb debuff has a 10%, goes up to a 35% chance of placing a second debuff for 2 turns. Only counts debuffs placed by actors. Okay, holy shit. This one's crazy as well, actually. Really good. Poisons, a 35% chance for a second poison. Certainly for Arena, I can run the Arachne Elixir and have my poisons do like quadruple damage or something stupid. So this is nowhere near close to Arachne Elixir. Now, against bosses, Arachne Elixir does nothing because your poisons are capped anyway. So it is better for poisoners against bosses. That being said, how many bosses in the game do you run poisons against that are relevant? Like normal dungeons and Demon Lord, that's about it, really? They're okay against Chimera and stuff, but at that point, you're just going to overfill the debuff bar. That's a big problem with poisons in general, overfilling the debuff bar. Unless there's a poison weak boss in this new content in Grim Forest, doesn't seem very good to me for poisons at all. And there's actually multiple poison relics that are already, like there's the Preserved Aberration and stuff, which also isn't that good because you've got Arachne Elixir, but you've got other options. So I don't see it too much for poisons, but it's okay. Anti-bosses for poisoners could be cool on like a Narma the Returned. Yeah, sure, it's pretty good. Or Calvalax. You kind of want him to have Arachne Elixir for the waves, but Calvalax against bosses, bit of a weird take, but if you did, it's good. Now, bombs, though, that is insane. A 35% chance to place another bomb whenever you place a bomb is busted. Oh my god. There are like no good relics for bomb champions right now. Like this is best in slot for bombs. Like if I look, I've got my Nishak. He actually does have Arachne Elixir, though he only has a level 2 lethal dose, so it's not even that useful. But obviously he's quite unique. But like if I look at my Shazar, I think he's got something stupid. Yeah, he's got a Scroll of the Unseen. He's got 2 bomb slots. Yeah, but like he has it just for the sake of it. There isn't a good bomb relic. Now we've got a good bomb relic. This looks crazy good. So yeah, that seems mega hype for bombers. So Kraws, yeah, this is the new thing for Kraws. This is a new thing for them. You might want to still run Wand of Submission, but I think, if you're struggling if your bombs aren't always killing the tankiest enemies, this could be insanely good. And it makes bombs way better for PvE as well. Like you just pumping out more bombs makes them much more relevant for faction wars and stuff. So that one's actually pretty darn cool, right? Let's take a look at the Mythicals. I think that's the end then. Oh, visual assets. Lovely. Okay, we've got the Coronet of Gloom and the Lens of Intangibility. Right, Coronet of Gloom first. When all the wearer's allies are dead, puts block damage on the wearer for 1 turn and has a 10% chance. That upgrades weirdly to a 35% chance of placing this buff when a single ally dies. Okay, interesting. So fully upgraded, 35% chance to get block damage for a turn whenever an ally dies. And when everybody on your team dies, you definitely get block damage. Actually pretty strong. So one thing could be interesting in terms of AoE attacks, right? Like if I go in against this team and let's say, whatever, he nukes me with the Cheshire Cat, it actually AoEs go down your team 1 by 1. So potentially nice in the final slot if he had that relic. Now, obviously he doesn't need it, but if he did need it, I don't know, like let's say we put Nell in the back. Maybe everyone else dies. It could trigger the relic on Nell and actually prevent the attack entirely or block the damage entirely. So that could be actually pretty strong depending on the turn order. But I do suspect that this would interrupt AoE attacks and protect people in the back of your team. So very strong for that. It's also very strong on like tanky revivers as well. or even not so tanky revivers. Just keep them alive, stop the damage coming in. This is potentially very strong. I think the biggest issue with this, again, is you have no way to know what relic your enemy has. So you could be totally caught by surprise, being like, great, I just nuke them, I kill them, easy win. You nuke them, you've left your team vulnerable. And oh, surprise, surprise, motherfucker. I got block damage on my guy, and now I maybe on a damage dealer, and I just kill you. Or maybe on a reviver, and I revive my team, and something like that. So yeah, this could potentially be good. I don't know if it's super good compared to the other mythical relics, but it seems decent. Yeah, I mean, it seems good. I think the surprise factor is pretty rough. Lens of Intangibility then. Wearer ignores 10% defense, okay, at the start of the round, puts a perfect veil buff on the wearer for 2 turns, while under veil a perfect veil, you ignore an additional 5% defense. So 50, okay, this is very strong. 15% defense ignore. Then you get an additional 15%. Whoo! So you get 30% ignore defense. Okay. So we had a weird problem with event relics. Well, I think it's a problem. You might not care. But we're in a weird situation. We've got the Covetous Passion, which gives you basically a 15% ignore defense buff. And then when you kill an enemy, you've got a chance to regain that 15% buff for 1 turn. So you got to work really hard for this 15% ignore defense. Then you have the Cat's Gaze. This gives you 20% ignore defense for basically doing nothing. And it's like, that's a bit weird. The mythical relic, I have to work hard for a 15% buff, which can be removed or blocked, versus Cat's Gaze, I get 20% ignore defense all the time for free. You let me... people get upset if I say that their relic is overpowered or whatever compared to something else, but whatever. Whatever, bro. Whatever. This one is, though, very strong. So you're getting... Now, you need Perfect Veil. You need Veil or Perfect Veil. But if you've got a champion that provides that for your team, this becomes insane. Cat's Gaze is 20% ignore defense. This is 30%. It's just straight up better by a big margin. It's twice as good. Twice as good as the frickin' Covetous Passion. Please buff this relic. I almost said Blizzard. I'm looking at World of Warcraft housing stuff. Come on, Blizzard, buff Covetous Passion. Covetous Passion definitely needs a buff, obviously enough. But yeah, so this new relic, that's insane. This really freaking good. Very good on champions who self-veil, like the Cheshire Cat, like Ninja, Toshiro, anyone like that. Even non-perfect veil damage dealers, you're still getting the 10% baseline, which is decent. It's almost as good as the Covetous Passion, and it can't be buff removed. It's almost as good just by default. And yeah, you'll definitely get that perfect veil at the start of a fight, so it's really strong. And yeah, if you've got another champion like a Duchess Lilitu or a Firol or anyone who's going to provide you perfect veil, it's very strong. So yeah, this one actually seems like it's probably a 10 out of 10. This one, I'm not sure about. Could be quite strong though, and it's mythical. It's probably going to have very good stats. Could be like a 9 out of 10. It could be very good. I think that the legendaries are actually very strong. This is niche, but really strong for bomb champs. This one, we'll have to test it out. Could be kind of insane though. Could be cool. Just so long as you don't die, but opens up some really interesting strategies. And I think the epics and the rares are kind of garbage, actually. I think you just almost ignore all of these. They're really, you're a new player getting your first relics. I think anyone who's been playing for a long time, they're kind of useless, which is kind of true for almost all the epic and rare relics in the games, apart from a couple of truly outstanding ones, like Arethi Carnet and Arachnelixir and Perch Shadow, that sort of stuff. There's a few outstanding epics and rares, but mostly they're trash, and I think it's sort of the same thing here. There we go. Let me know what you think of everything. We've got 8 new relics, and yeah, they're quite a mix. We've got a new buff, which seems quite confusing. The new Mercurial Gear Set. We've got the new sneak peek at how decks work for the Grim Forest. What do you think about all of it? Let me know in the comments. It's been a heck of a lot of info. Thank you for watching. Woo! I'll see you next time. Goodbye.